worms and other animals. They can be used in laparoscopic surgeries and other medical technologies.
Right now on Denver 7 News at 8 o'clock on Local 3, the stories of both heroism and heartache as children and their teachers faced a gunman in the classroom.
I just want to know what she did to be a victim.
Plus, risking it all to get out of Ukraine. The Colorado reunion for a family separated by war.
And the Avalanche will have to regroup after missing an opportunity to close out the Blues.
We just got to stay aggressive. That's what we've been doing as we did game 3 and 4 when we were up late in the game and just kept playing. And sometimes it bounces your way, sometimes it doesn't. And that's playoff hockey.
Yeah,
it goes.
emotional roller coaster.
So now I'm wondering, does Lisa want them to win Game 6, or do you want them back here?
No.
For Game 7.
I want it done.
Do not
Okay.
win Game 7.
Because you know how she likes to win at
I
home.
like to win at
Yeah.
home. That was fun.
Yeah,
Last
so-
night was fun. It was enough emotion for one night.
Yeah, okay. Now they can just
Better to win.
seal it up.
I'm renaming the bags under my eyes. Colorado Avalanche. Yeah. No sleep whatsoever. It was a fun game, though. It's going to be a beautiful day today. Take a look. We're right now looking at clear skies, a little bit of cloud cover out to the west, but that's it. 57 already in Denver. Winds southwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. 72 here at 11. Upper 70s by about 1. And then close to 80 by about 3 o'clock. So it's going to be a good 10 degrees warmer than yesterday. You're going to find more 60s and 70s in the mountains. And again, right around 80 here in town between 4 and 5. Beautiful afternoon. Now, next week, we do have some cooler than average conditions that are going to start to settle in. Some of this warmer weather is going to shift off to the east. We'll take a closer look at not only that, but first, let's get you through your holiday weekend. I'll have Memorial Day forecast through the weekend on the Super 7 Day coming up.
And we will have a lot of heavy traffic on I-70 up the hills starting tomorrow after late morning or so. It will get really busy and then stay busy all day Friday into Saturday. Right now we have busy drive on I-25 past Mile High right before Spear. From the camera there downtown, you can see that the left side of the highway is blocked up on the northbound side. 2 lanes to the right are getting through, but barely as you pass the Children's Museum. The southbound side getting a healthy look at it, and so that's why we have big time backups on that northbound side coming from the Denver Tech Center. So you're dealing with some slow go traffic up to about Hamden, and then you have that really heavy traffic Broadway on across downtown Denver. Really busy in there. Getting better on southbound Parker from that earlier rollover crash we had at Orchard, but still going to cost you a couple extra minutes through there. Real busy still on I-70, 270, and that north side in downtown. A lot of that from that crash that's across the highway as everybody's looking at it.
Well, their names and faces will be ingrained in our memories, and these are just some of the 19 innocent children and 2 teachers murdered inside a Texas elementary school. The others have not been publicly identified yet, but we know every one of them so loved and missed by their families.
This morning we are learning more about them as the Uvalde community remembers the lives lost. ABC's Mariah Villarreal has more.
We're gonna pray that
the small community of Uvalde shattered by tragedy, but determined to pick up the pieces, honoring the lives taken from families too soon. This morning, we're learning more about those innocent souls lost. 10-year-old JC Carmela Luevanos and 11-year-old Jayla Nicole Silguro, cousins. Their family also losing their grandfather earlier this month. Their cousin writing, "They were loving baby angels. Always had a smile on their face, just full of life. I can't believe this happened to our angels." The grandmother of victim Alicia Ramirez telling our Amy Robach what the days ahead may bring.
That's why I'm here to help my son arrange
A funeral for a 10-year-old.
When we met family members near the scene like Brandon Elrod on Tuesday, desperately looking for his daughter, the worst was feared.
We can't find my daughter.
ABC News confirming his daughter McKenna Elrod was among the victims. Her Aunt April simply calling the 10-year-old beautiful and that they are devastated. Heroic actions from inside the classroom. Surviving students said one classmate, Amarie Jo Garza, tried to call for help dialing 911 as shots rang out before the gunman's fire turned to her. Her father speaking to our David Muir.
She was the best person that I know, full of life, gone too soon, always smiling, very productive. She was her own self.
4th grade teacher Irma Garcia, a wife, mother, and educator for 23 years, who loved barbecue and listening to music, among those killed. Fellow teacher Eva Mireles killed trying to protect students. A relative telling ABC News Ms. Mireles was both an amazing mother and hero.
She was just very adventurous and courageous. It's beyond devastating and tragic, and there are no words.
And one injured teacher, Arnolfo Reyes, now in stable condition after suffering bullet wounds to his left lung and arm, waking up in the hospital in complete panic mode, asking about the kids. Tragically, his relative and student, Ileana Cruz Torres, among those killed. The long list of victims, 21 overall, falls just behind Sandy Hook Elementary as the deadliest shooting rampage in U.S. history. Their names forever etched in the hearts of this community. Javier James Lopez, Rogelio Torres, Usaya Garcia, and cousins Annabel Rodriguez and Jacqueline Jalen Cáceres, both 10 years old, were in the same class together.
The tragedy comes just weeks after Colorado's agency tasked with preventing school emergencies released some new recommendations. Denver 7's Jessica Crawford continues our coverage with a look at what local campuses are doing now. Jessica.
Well, the big focus of the Colorado Safety Resource Center is assessing threats before they become a bigger problem. In April, that agency released crisis response guidelines for schools. These guidelines are for all different types of incidents. They're not just for school shootings. And it calls for schools to identify school safety and crisis team members. Those teams include administrators, mental health professionals, nurses, and anyone else with emergency expertise. It also gives guidance for schools on conducting multiple drills per year and creating lockdown, communication, and reunification plans. But one of the most important parts of these guidelines is identifying a threat before it's too late.
They have law enforcement officers, if there are such in the school or in the community. They have mental health providers as well as school administrators that take a look at any student that they feel may be at risk of doing something violent in the school and figuring out what kinds of resources can they put in place to prevent that child from moving forward on a pathway to violence.
And Director Christine Harms there told me that she would love to see every classroom in Colorado have a door that can lock with a push button from the inside. She told me that in some schools, doors can only lock from the outside and they can only lock with keys. She said that the improvement can be expensive for schools and that she hopes to see more school security disbursement funds from the state in the future. I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7.
Thank you, Jessica. Well, the national conversation has predictably gone to guns and focusing on mental health. Denver Public Schools will soon require each of its schools to set aside 20 minutes a day dedicated to help with students' mental health. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta went to an elementary school that has been trying it for 5 years now, Veronica, and teachers say it has made all the difference.
They do. At New Lawn Elementary School sets aside 45 minutes a day for students' social and emotional learning. They do 30 minutes in the morning and then 15 minutes in the afternoon. And soon, the state's largest school district, we're talking more than 90,000 students, will also be getting this time. 6-year-olds in a circle isn't abnormal in an elementary school. But at New Lawn Elementary, these 6-year-olds are doing more than just playing with a ball in that circle. Instead, they're taking nearly an hour out of their day to learn things like the fair ways to play, share, even take turns. Classroom 119 isn't the only one doing this. Upstairs in Mrs. Etter's 4th grade classroom, it's the same story with a more grown approach.
We ask them things as simple as, how are you doing today? Are you ready to learn? And then we also go a little bit deeper into some of the challenges they face at the playground. What are the conflicts you have? How can we solve them? And really going through steps so that they have tools to use.
This is all a part of Denver Public Schools' social emotional learning program. At New Lawn Elementary, this has been in place for 5 years. After the back and forth between remote and in-person learning, the district vowed to implement this at all of its schools.
It's teaching them emotion identification, emotion regulation.
Ashley Wessel is the student psychologist at New Lawn Elementary. She says after the past 2 years, it's time to address students' mental health face-to-face.
I do think, coming back from the pandemic, we saw that this really was a much more significant need than it had been in previous years. And so we're really putting priority and emphasis on it now.
It's exactly what Mrs. Etter does in her classroom.
I'm really excited for our day together.
Asking students share what they're feeling and helping them navigate through it.
DPS officials told me the expectation is that every single school in the district implements at least 20 minutes towards students' social emotional learning by the start of next school year. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Thank you, Veronica. We will be continuously updating you on the school tragedy in Texas as new information comes out. You can find all of our coverage as well as tools and resources to help prevent targeted violence right now on thedenverchannel.com.
Next, an incredible reunion story. We're there as a grandmother who escaped the war in Ukraine finally gets to hug her family here in Colorado.
Also, how some Colorado communities are helping you cool off in the face of pool staffing shortages.